What's going on, everybody? This is Bobby G, aka Bobby Bookworm, back again. Normally, you see me, I got the blue hat on, got the blue Cubbies hat on, which I usually wear during Saturday Spiel, but today is a very different day. Today is Simchat, which means the Joy of the Torah, and it's actually today that the last reading is usually done on the schedule for the Messianic community for the cycle. We had Rosh Hashanah not too long ago, and now we have Simchat, which is Joy of Torah, and the last reading, which is V'zot HaBrakhah, which means, and this is the blessing. And really looking at it as the blessing of God, of the fulfillment of the Torah, and eventually the fulfillment of the New Jerusalem, because of the Messianic community, if you do it. And whenever these readings are finished, we roll back the scroll, the Torah scroll, start at the beginning, which we're going to be doing a little bit here in these readings. And which we'll be starting with my Saturday spiel this Saturday. But before we get to that, the readings for today are Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 1 to chapter 34, verse 12, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 2, verse 3, Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 18, Numbers chapter 29, verse 35 to chapter 30, verse 1. Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 48. Acts chapter 1, verses 1 through 14. And Revelation chapter 21, verse 9 to chapter 22, verse 5. That's a lot. Again, it's a lot there. Why? Because again, this is the finishing, this is the end, and usually, traditionally in most synagogues, Messianics, no exception to this, is, we read it, we finish the reading of the word for the reading cycle, and then we roll it back up all the way, because the scroll is Genesis to Deuteronomy, so it's one big scroll, and it's usually pretty big. It's about this big. So, and you gotta roll it all the way back, and then you just, you pass it around, and everybody brings it back, and then sets it back in what's known as the Ark, which is the container of where all the scrolls are at. And actually, they're talking like real, literal, actual scrolls. Whether they're going to be doing it in traditional synagogue currently because of COVID conditions, I don't know. There's only one synagogue here in town, which I have not been to for a while because of COVID, and among other things. That's a whole other discussion for those of you who know me very well. But really, one day, there's the blessings of God that we have right now, and there are the blessings of God yet to come, which is really, when you look at all the scripture verses I have today for Simchat Torah, also Parashat V'zot HaBrakhah, when you look at what the blessing is, there are the blessings that God has and is providing right now, and there are the blessings yet to come. Eventually, the ending of the scroll of Deuteronomy is where they finally get ready to enter the promised land, and eventually when Yeshua, Jesus, comes back, we're going to have the blessing of the old heaven and the old earth passing away, and we'll be entering the new heaven and the new earth. That is, if God doesn't call us home first, before that time. When that time will be, I don't know, but it's going to be a blessing for those of us who know Him. For those who don't, that's a hard thing to say. I can't speak of who is and who isn't going to be there. I'm not God, but what I will say is that I hope that the people around me will get to see that day. Until then, I would say that to remember past, present, and future blessings from God are what should be the focus of today. The blessings of His Word, the blessing of His Spirit, the blessing of relationship with God through Yeshua, Jesus, and the blessings yet to come. Those are just my thoughts today for Simchat Torah, also known as Parashat V'zot HaBrakhah, the Joy of Torah, and this is the blessing. Those are what those translations are respectively. Lord willing, I will see you all on Shabbat, that is Saturday, for my usual Saturday spiel, and hopefully I'll get to see you all then. Until then, may be blessed this day richly in all things, and hopefully I'll get to see you when the time comes. Shalom.